I'm JR Foresteros with Sojourners magazine. Chris, thank you so much for this interview.
Hi, good morning.
I would love to hear what drew you to this project specifically because it's fairly unique. I think from my perspective among animated films, and I mean looking back at your catalog, you're no stranger to animation, but why the Wild Robot?
Just the story and the characters and the journey is very much my thing. When the book was introduced to me at DreamWorks, I came into development to see what they were up to, and they showed me this book and they described it, and immediately I thought this is the one I think I want to do. And of course, I read it immediately and called back and said, absolutely, please let me work on this. And that began the journey. And I honestly, I didn't know this is where it was going to end up. I had no idea it was going to be this big and this beautiful when I started working on it. And full credit to our incredible artistic team because they actually changed technology to achieve this look.
I mean, it's stunning. My jaw was on the floor throughout the film, just watching. And I mean, one of the sequences I wanted to ask you about is that extended opening where we're sort of watching Roz get dropped into the middle of the food chain. And
Yeah.
it is at once gorgeous, but it's also I was trying to think like maybe since Bambi's mom, rest in peace, that we've had an animated film that I think this honestly depicted the sort of nature red in tooth and claw. And I'm curious how you managed the tone between the sort of whimsy and fun of an animated film with like the reality of what it's like for all of these animals to live together in the same ecosystem.
Yes, yes. The consequences of the place that Roz arrives in, it was really important to define that. It is a life and death place. She was supposed to be in a place where everything was planned and there was no surprises. But she ends up in a place that's dangerous and chaotic, and that's the drive of the story. So get the environment and getting everything to work right. The opening of the film was actually the last thing we put into production because it was so difficult to fine tune the tone and just to find exactly what her attitude was and her trajectory going into it. We were very happy with the way it turned out, but it was a hard won balance and just took a lot of work.
Honestly, as I was watching it, I was trying to pay attention because I know I'm going to interview you, but I was also just marveling, not just at the look, but at that tone. I think you struck such an interesting balance of keeping this fun and accessible. And I watched it with some children in our house, and I was kind of gauging them. And yeah, they were delighted when she would save a little creature and then horrified when it would get snapped up by a bird, but also kind of laughed at the like almost slapstick nature of it. It really was. And I think you're right. Like the rest of the story hinges so much on that sequence.
Absolutely. When I was working on a film called The Croods, we had this opening, and even though these cavemen were robust and tough, we didn't want them to be cartoon characters. We needed the audience to understand they could be killed if they made a big mistake. And so with any movie, you es- you can establish the rules and then you have to play by them. And an audience is learning. Okay, they're learning the parameters of the story, and it's our job as filmmakers and storytellers to artfully lay those parameters down for the audience. And in this case with Roz, we try to make it as funny as possible and as fun, but still let people understand like this is a life and death place that she landed in because that's a really critical part of the story. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. It's a terrific film. Thank you so much for bringing this into the world.
Oh, thank you so much.